My name is Monica Gleiberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we have Adam Pally, who's in a brand new comedy called Who Invited Charlie. The film follows a New York City family hiding out in the Hamptons whose bubble is popped when a Bloody Mary-swilling, pot-smoking friend, Charlie, comes to interrupt their stay. So to talk about the film, and of course, HBO Max's 101 Places to Party Before You Die, here's Adam Pally. So I want to go over quickly, before we get into Who Invited Charlie, which is probably one of my all-time favorite movies of the year.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Literally all-time favorite. We listed it as a must watch for people that saw it on the website. And
Wow.
also, I can exclusively say that we are doing an award show this year. It's kind of like a virtual thing, and the movie will be in there. So
Whoa.
you guys are going to be up for some things, which are very
That's
exciting.
very cool. Well, thank you I'm so touched and honored, when you make a movie that's this small and with this much like heart and stuff. You just want it to be seen. So I'm very thankful.
Well, it's so good. But before we get
Thank
started,
you.
so for people that might go, I don't think anybody will say this. Who is Adam Pally or what is
No, I know. I bet you're wrong about that. I bet you're wrong. I bet a lot of people right now are like, I don't know this Adam from Hollywood. I know other Adams from Hollywood.
you have had some of the most iconic television shows of all time. Happy Endings, The Mindy Project. I mean, who doesn't love Peter Prentice? One of the greatest characters written ever, I think. And
Definitely
I mean,
written. Yeah.
it was just amazing. I also even love Drunk History. I loved that.
John was on Drunk History.
Just like for me, it was like thing after thing after thing that you've done. What was that like doing the television shows? I think maybe one of the longest was probably Happy Endings or The Mini Project, but those
Mm,
characters like Max and Peter, which could not be further apart in how they act, but
mm.
they're such crazy characters and they're so much fun and they're so lovable, and you do it in a way where it's not like you don't come off like a jerk. It's just like a lovable, like everyone wants you to be their friend, like Max to be their friend, Peter to be their friend. So what is that like for you for those shows when people talk to you about them?
It feels good. If everybody's career is different, everybody has their own thing. But like I didn't get to be in one character for a long period of time. Both of those shows were kind of short lived. And so I feel like in a good way, it's nice that I made an impression in a short period of time, and I'm very thankful for that, you
Yeah,
know.
and it shows, and both of those I think in particular show your ability for physical comedy and comedic timing, because you're so funny, and those shows rely heavily on that to be funny and the timing.
Um, I was just thank you for that. I was just having lunch with Jonathan Groff, who's one of the executive producers of Happy Endings, and I was talking about how like sometimes I find that my humor, like my lack of rhythm, my staccato, my car crash of a rhythm, is what is funny sometimes inherently because you're like, well, that's so off rhythm that it becomes its own rhythm,
Mhm.
and it's there's something humorous about that.
I think it's hysterical, like, the way that you do it, and I can see what you mean by you have your own sense, like, your own way of doing it, and I think that's what every actor does, but what makes you special is how you do it, and that it's funny, like, that you still get the same kind of laughter, like, the hard laughter from it.
Again, that's so nice of you, and I appreciate it greatly. I try to just kind of be as relaxed as possible and and do a lot of like not thinking.
Well, I wanted to get into, and I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure you do a lot more prep than you say. Like I said, you do such a great job on all of these things. And then comes across my desk, Who Invited Charlie? So of course,
Mm.
right off the bat, I'm like, Adam's in it. Gotta watch it. So, that's what like sold me right away. I was like, yeah, sure, of course, I'll screen it. I watch it. It's I feel like it's the closest to you that you've played, how you got involved, and then do you feel like this is one of the closest characters to, like, your actual personality that you've played in a while?
Maybe. I feel like all my characters, like you were saying before, like I feel like all of them are kind of a version of me in some way. I
Yeah.
look at a lot of my characters, unless it's real deep character work or a real person, I
Mhm.
look at them as kind of like variants of myself, of like how did I get into this position, or I can see myself like I would never think to be a OBGYN, but I could see that if I was, how I would approach it, and so I think that that's always kind of the fun challenge for me, and I think it's also why I'm an acquired taste. You kind of like me, or you don't.
I feel like you downplay yourself a lot, which I think a lot of actors do this, but we all love you for it, but I was like, "Yeah, he's gonna downplay every compliment that I give him this entire time."
Oh no,
But
no, that's there's a mental illness for that too. It's like it's a type of narcissism where you're not comfortable accepting a compliment, even though that's like all you desperately want. There's something I got to look into that.
we'll have to talk about, like, a therapy we'll have to have, like, a therapy
I
discussion.
gotta unpack that after the holiday.
Well, for Who Invited Charlie, how did you get involved? Because this is, like, tiny, 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 this film.
Yeah, I first of all, I love making these movies, and if you're a director or writer out there and you are making these movies, get at me. I love them. They're fun. They give me a chance to do stuff that I don't normally get a chance to do, and there's nothing like the energy of a young crew and filmmaker, and so I love it. But I was actually this team isn't as quite as young, but they're energetic, and I was supposed to do a movie with David Frankel that was kind of a large undertaking right before the pandemic. And David Frankel's a really good director and directed one of my favorite movies, Devil Wears Prada.
Mhm.
And I was doing a lot of speaking of prep work, I was doing a lot of prep work, and then the movie kind of fell through after COVID or during COVID, and I had a big gap in my schedule. And David kind of said, I'm really bummed that I'm not going to be able to direct you, but I'm producing this little movie,
Mm.
and the script is really good if you want to read it. And so he sent it to me, and I read it, and I recognized the name because the name of the writer Nick Scott is actually I had met him. He's best friends with a buddy of mine named Zach Knighton, who was on Happy Endings, and he used to come around to our Happy Endings parties a lot. And so I like reconnected with him, and then and kind of really fell in love with the script. I mean, it reminded me of all like my favorite movies, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and What About Bob and Uncle Buck. I mean, like there's a certain kind of romantic song I was hearing in my head while I was reading it and then making it all the way through, and it's kind of like I knew what the movie was from the first time I read it, and that's how I did it.
We spoke to Reed, and Reed told me he initially had tried out, or they initially wanted him for Charlie. And he was like,
Mm.
I don't know, might be a stretch. And he was like, it might be exciting because it could be a stretch for me. But he was like, I think I fall into like the other category. So he was like, well, we'll put it on the back burner. And then he said, you walked in, or he had seen your tapes, you had walked in, and they were like, yes, this is Charlie. So for you, when you were
Um,
is that who you pictured initially to play?
yes, I didn't think that I was going to play anything but Charlie when the character description came out. But I could see Reed doing a great job with it. I mean, it's a fun character. The eccentric is always fun. The question, I feel like, because we've seen that quite a bit, is like how to make it specific, how to make the eccentric specific and not feel like a trope of those movies. And to me, it was to modernize it. It was to like be really accurate and pinpoint with the time and place that the characters were in, which happened to be the height of a enormous pandemic.
Right. So for people that haven't seen it yet, so basically it takes place with a family that's like panicking because they're in the city. We don't know what's going on with COVID. They're going to go to their big, gorgeous Hamptons house to kind of ride out the wave and be safe. And
Yeah,
we bump into your character and find out that they're friends or have known each other. I should say they knew each other in the past.
yeah,
And
they're roommates. They
yeah,
lived together for a little in college.
and, like, lost touch, and it's a
Yes.
very quick kind of scene, and then Charlie somehow ends up kind of just inviting himself over to their house as a
Yeah.
as a need to seek cover like, to get out of the city and to stay safe.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. Which I feel like a lot of people. It didn't have to be the Hamptons for you to be put in that situation of like. I'm alone in this crazy time, and I just need something, some comfort, you know. And I think some people kind of freaked out, and I think it's totally relatable. And I think a lot of people found themselves, maybe people that lived in cities, found themselves outside of cities and places that they didn't necessarily belong.
Right, and to try to not have to be concerned about it, right? I mean, like, that's normal.
Yeah,
And
yeah. You just had to keep going.
you guys did such a good job because I was concerned about that kind of, like, stereotypical tropes that kind of fall into this movie. So when you show up and or I should say when Charlie shows up to the house, right away I'm going, "Oh, this is he's not gonna be let in, he's gonna try to sneak."
Mhm.
Like, those are, like, kind of the typical things you see in these movies. This is not that. This like,
No,
he lets you in, and the relationships and the things that take place in this film are very different than what you might expect. So, like, you see this trailer and you might expect, like, "Oh my god, this is an annoying guy. They keep trying to get rid of him." I wouldn't say that he doesn't cause any problems for them, but a lot of the stuff that takes place is really kind of in a healing manner. Like, a lot of your character and a lot of the stuff he does, albeit, he's different than them, but that's okay because that difference
yeah,
how makes them co come together a little more.
yeah. I One of my favorite movies ever is "You Can Count on Me" by Kenneth Lonergan. And Mark Ruffalo plays a character similar to this, and he kind of goes and stays with his sister Laura Linney and her kids, and he like starts taking care of the kids. And I think it reminded me of that movie quite a bit. But the thing that happens in that movie, which is different in this movie, which I really liked, is that in that movie it's all about Mark Ruffalo growing and learning and figuring himself out.
Mhm.
And in this movie, it's a little more collaborative, where it's like I think everybody, which is kind of what the pandemic was like, everybody found themselves at equal ground,
Right.
and so everybody needed to heal, whether you were rich or poor or staying with your 100-year-old grandfather in the country, or you name it.
Mhm.
Everybody was reduced to just trying to survive. And so I feel like that was the difference here, was like there was less judgment on this character, which gave it an opportunity to flourish.
Yeah, and with that less judgment and because the COVID's going on, I feel like it made sense that there wouldn't be so much aggression or fighting or because as human beings, we don't know what to do. Everybody doesn't know what's going on. So they might not want him there. They're not going to turn him away. This is not a situation where they're going to put him out in the wild kind of thing.
Completely, people were looking out for each other, and again, like, I think similar to the time that we made the movie. We made the movie at the height of a second wave, and it was testing every day and almost getting shut down, and it felt similar to the script in that way, in that like you're just trying to make the movie, you're just trying, and like during COVID you were just trying to get to the next day
Right.
and figure out how you were going to work, how you were going to survive, how you're going to do something new. I hope that the movie hits that note with a lot of people. We don't have the luxury of having a big studio behind us to push it out and stuff. So, and I think a lot of times people are turned off by the idea of like, I don't want to watch a COVID movie.
Mhm.
But I think that this movie is not, I mean, there's something nostalgic about that time when you were forced to be inside with your family. And I think this movie is so fun and funny and warm that it makes it almost feel like a holiday movie that you look back on it fondly.
I feel like it was a mix between this sounds like an odd mix probably, but like Weekend at Bernie's mixed with like National Lampoons. For some reason, that's how I saw
All
it.
right. I mean,
Um,
I'll take it. I'll take it. There's no dead people or a ton of jokes, but I'll
no,
take it.
but
I'll take it.
but it's so funny and so heartfelt. And I love the fact that there's a lot of COVID movies that had come out, right? And a lot of
Mhm.
them focus solely on COVID. This does not do that. So COVID
No.
is happening, it's there. There's scenes, and I won't give them away for people to see them, where there's inventive masks and things that you guys do, like, right, because they got to go to grocery stores and things that you have to go outside of the house that are very funny, like hysterically funny that you just relate to watching it, like just feeling like that need of what you need to get. But it's not a main character, which makes your
Right.
film
No.
very different than any other
Agreed.
that's
Agreed.
related or that has COVID in it.
Totally. And I think you nailed it. And I think that was the point. let's just give it a time frame and a setting and not make it the focus.
So, and I wanted to ask you too, it felt like there was a lot of freedom. I know, like, this is like literally when I say indie, this is like full out. I know crew members were like on the floor. Like, I mean, people were just
Yes.
trying to get by and
Oh,
like make it.
yes.
But it seemed like when during the direction, there was a lot of freedom where, specifically with your character, you don't have to talk every 2 seconds. There doesn't have to be like a lot of conversation every minute. There was space, and I kind of look at it as like a musical movie, right?
Yeah.
There's
No,
times where there's like silence.
I think I struggle sometimes with silence too. I think I like to talk and fill up the space, and I think this was a fun time, especially with a character who's been through so much. And Javi, the director, was great about letting me tone down in my own way. Sometimes I can be contrarian. I think is a shortcoming of mine. That sometimes, especially for an actor, someone can tell you to do something, you're like, why? This is the way I'm doing it, and that's the opposite of acting. That's not what acting is. Trying something and the director says do it that way and you do it that way better. It's like,
Mm.
but sometimes I can get that way. And so I think Javi had a really nice hand with me of being like, I don't want you to change. I just want you to try it at a different temperature. And I think it helped me quite a bit.
Yeah, and like I want to bring up one scene in particular, which is one of my favorites, and I don't think it will ruin anything, but I was laughing so hard, I was almost crying. Which, and I did that multiple times in this film, and I also cried for emotional reasons because it has such
That's
a
nice.
beautiful heart, like throughout the whole
Yeah.
film and the storyline. But there's this scene where like you're kind of Charlie's initially kind of in the house, and
uh
they're setting up boundaries. And
Yeah.
Rue
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
said this was a very last minute kind of pulled together situation where they were like, "How do we do this?" And Rue was like, "Give me a piece of tape. I'll figure it out." And so he tapes kind of like what you would do when you're kids because you guys knew each other in college. Like,
Yeah.
you're younger, you do this with siblings, right? You're like, "Don't cross my line." So you
Yeah.
so he basically puts tape down to separate where Charlie's allowed to walk. That could have been done in 2 seconds, right? Like, they could have showed it really quickly, bam, you're on to your next thing.
Yeah.
But they do this, like, full minute of you just hearing the
Yeah.
tape
Good
ripping,
timing.
and, like,
Yeah.
the whole thing, like, and he separates the room. Your character's completely silent and just standing there, and then you hear this tape, and when he's done and everyone kinda walks off, your character just, like, leans forward and goes, "So, like, can I cross it to, like, use the bathroom?"
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah," and, like, and that's what makes this movie, I feel like, so different. There's so many moments of that where it's not necessarily people talking that has to make it funny, which you guys all do, but there's these moments of silence where an action's happening.
That's so nice. I really, it really feels good when someone sees your movie and likes it. So I really, really, and gets it. And so I really appreciate it.
So what are you, like, looking forward to? So I know right now it did a ton of festivals. I know you guys were in Austin. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, this movie is hilarious. I want everybody to see it. I feel like you'll walk out feeling better, being
Oh,
happy, laughing.
I like it when a movie makes you feel that way. Well, it's coming out soon. I can't give you the release date yet because I think that that's information that I'm not at liberty to give. But it's coming out soon,
Okay.
and everybody will get a chance to see it. And I'm really thankful and excited about that because I feel like I did good work, and I'm excited for people to see it.
You did. And then, obviously I have to ask too, wardrobe, because I'm obsessed with everything you wear. You know this.
Yeah, Olivia Purdock on this movie, and the great Aaron Levine came in and helped us with an assist for my wardrobe. But Olivia Purdock is responsible 100% for this one.
But I love all your stuff. Like, literally, if you let me in your house, you'd probably come into your closet and be like, "Where did all my stuff go?" Because you have such
Mm,
cool stuff. I didn't know if some of the
No,
clothes were
no.
yours that you wore in the film.
Some of them were mine. Yeah. Well, Olivia was also helping me on 101. So
Mm.
it was kind of like what didn't work for one worked for the other, and there was a lot of crossover. But yeah, I mean, I like wearing my own clothes, especially like just because you're playing a character doesn't mean that they don't have something in your closet that you would put on a certain day to feel like that.
So, and obviously, I love the crochet, which I've made very clear to you.
Yes,
So at
you made
some
it.
point, I will
Yeah.
try to steal it from you, but
I'm gonna get you the information. My cousin used to sell it at his
oh my
store, and I will get
gosh,
you the
I will
information.
buy it. I will
I,
100% buy
I'll
one.
I will get you that information. I
Okay.
promise.
So for people listening that are like, what is she talking about? He wears this amazing crochet outfit, like jacket in the film. You can also see it on 101. I think I tweeted. I was like, where do I get that? Like, I
The
have to
sweater
have
gets a lot of love. And I
so
will reciprocate. I will get it out. I will get
yeah,
the
so
info
let me
out.
know and I will make sure to tweet it out. So for people that are interested in this movie, We just have to basically follow Twitter accounts, Instagram.
Yeah, there'll be an announcement in the paper soon, I think.
So we have that coming. And like I said, I love it. Everybody go see it. It's heartfelt. It's beautiful. It's funny. There's a touch of COVID in it, but it's really about this family.
Like all of us, there's a touch of COVID now.
We all have a little bit of it, right? Couldn't get
Yeah.
away from it. But
Yeah.
I have to talk about really quickly 101. So
Okay.
you guys did this amazing show, and this is
Uh-huh.
actually, to me, very interesting. So you did 101 places to party before you die with one of your friends that you've known for 25
Ever. Yeah.
plus years. Um,
Yes.
so it's you and John, and you guys,
Yes.
well, you say Gabrus on the show, but that's his last name.
That's his last name.
The two of you just did this like cute show. It was like on True TV, and you guys just traveled to various places that were like, as you guys joke, places that nobody would really send you to. It's like random towns that they like send you.
Denver. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're there for, 48 hours or something like that. And you guys just go hard. Like you go
Party.
to as many places as you could go to. You eat everywhere you can. Anything that you guys could do, you get done
Correct.
with 48 hours. What was that like?
It was the best experience ever. We hope to do more. I think in the coming year when there's clarity at HBO and Time Warner and Discovery, and we know what channel we would be on, we'll have some more information. But it was a joy of a project, and I love it so much. It was one of the greatest creative experiences I've had to like make a show from scratch like that. And truly, like it really just affirmed, like if you have a friend that you love, like go out and do something together, like have an experience. It's so fun.
Well, it was so interesting because it started on True TV, and I'm just gonna be honest, there was like no promotion, right? There's like nothing.
None.
So you and John are like on Twitter, you're promoting it, everything. This grassroots of like everyone wanting to either party with the two of you, which like I do, I have like serious FOMO, wanting to party with you guys, wanting to go to these places. People are going to these places that live nearby, taking photos, tagging you guys. They're like
Yeah.
eating food that you're eating, doing all this stuff. It blew up to a point where HBO Max stepped in and was like, we need to have this on our streaming service. And then they took you guys in too and made it available to a much wider audience on HBO Max. And now everybody's streaming it on there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the reasoning behind how we got on HBO
I'm
Max,
gonna go with
but
it.
I'm gonna say yes and take it and be like,
Yeah.
that's 100% accurate. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
it's 100% accurate because I just feel like
Yes.
that's how it started. It was so grassroots, and then
Yeah, no, and sometimes it's good that way, and sometimes shows need that. So, however it gets seen, that's great with us.
so is that crazy for you? Like, so now it's on HBO Max. We're all waiting for season 2. Every article, I Googled it this morning because I was curious just to see the latest. Every article is writing, like, where season 2, we need a season 2. Headlines include, we need a season 2. I mean, fans have become not only obsessed with, I think, you as Adam now, right? Because this is not you like acting, this is you as Adam as a human being, which is nice. And then your relationship with John. I mean, like, you guys are hysterical.
I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know, like it's all so crazy right now how anybody sees anything. But I know that we've got a great platform and people seem to like it, so I hope they keep watching it.
Well, it's so good, and I love and I get so excited for you every time I see someone tag, "Well, Adam ate it, so I'm trying it," and, like, they'll
Yeah, no, I poison tester. Poison tester.
you were the first one to try it. And then I just threw one really quick cute thing that was on the show. I forgot where you guys were, but when they had you guys in the little and the little car, like, that they were driving and you're, like, outside, you're, like, on a street and it's fully opened and had the awning on it, the fact that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you guys hit your head, like, repeatedly,
Yeah, yeah.
I was hysterical because
Yeah, that's a
that
great
was
bit.
something that I would do, but, like, you literally, like, slam your head on the top of it over and over and over again. I mean, it's just the show is so funny, it's so honest, it's so much
Oh,
fun.
thank
I
you.
love when we see you guys call your families. It's just
Yeah.
it's the most honest, I feel like, 2 friends that got together and are like, "Listen, we're not gonna, like, BS this, we're not gonna script this, we're just gonna go have fun. We're gonna go where we're gonna
Yeah.
go, and we're gonna let people see if we're talking to our family, if I'm buying something for my kid, it's gonna be on there. Like, I'm gonna call them and I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy something." So, like, when you guys went to the toy, like, with all the toys, I love that both of you were, like, calling and trying to figure out what to get, for your
Yeah.
family, who wants what. So it just is such an honest, beautiful show. So if people haven't seen
Thank
it,
you. Thank you
just
so
go to
much.
HBO Max and watch it because it's so funny.
Yeah.
And if for some reason there's not a season 2, which I would be shocked, but if there's not a season 2, we have to see more of you and John together because the two of you are like,
Yeah, no, we'll do something. We're
hilarious.
figuring it out. Right now we're focused on getting someone to pay us to go get fucked up.
Well, so basically, where can people just like follow you so that they can stay updated on all of your projects?
Yeah, follow me anywhere or Google me or whatever. Keep watching. I'm so appreciative.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to Adam Paley talk about his latest comedy, Who Invited Charlie. The film is currently doing festival runs, so make sure you check it out at your local film festival and stay tuned for announcements because it should be distributed worldwide soon. And make sure you head over to HBO Max and stream all of the episodes of season 1 of 101 Places to Party Before You Die. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.